Why ADHD may be a myth. This content is for educational purposes only and does not constitute legal or medical advice. I'm Michelle Kotler. For more than 30 years, I've worked in special education as a teacher, school administrator, and attorney. If you are frustrated, anxious, and even burned out trying to get your child an appropriate education, this channel is for you. This content is probably not going to be popular. I'm sure people will leave plenty of negative comments for me. And that's okay, because it just means those people are not ready to hear this message. There are many other people who are ready to hear the message. If you think your child has ADHD, or your child has already been diagnosed with ADHD, please watch or listen to this content until the very end, because I can pretty much guarantee you'll learn things you've never heard before. Perhaps you already doubt that ADHD is a real thing. You feel uncomfortable putting your child on brain-altering drugs, or your child is already on ADHD medication and their grades have not improved. Now, let me be clear. If your child is experiencing various symptoms and showing certain behaviors, which we will discuss in a moment, maybe there is something going on with your child, and maybe there isn't. If there is something going on, I'm just saying the source of the problem is not necessarily this myth the drug companies call ADHD, so they can make $13 billion a year on stimulant medications in the United States alone. First of all, ADHD stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. Some people are diagnosed with ADD, meaning they do not show signs of hyperactivity. The symptoms of ADHD are as follows: difficulty paying attention or sustaining focus, easily distracted by external stimuli or internal thoughts, forgetfulness or losing things frequently, difficulty following instructions or completing tasks, poor organizational skills, excessive movement or restlessness, difficulty sitting still or waiting their turn, talking excessively or interrupting others, acting without thinking or considering consequences, blurting out answers before questions are finished, difficulty controlling impulses, interrupting conversations or activities, and taking unnecessary risks. When considering these symptoms, the first thing you need to keep in mind is that children are neither computers nor mini adults. Unfortunately, some teachers and even some parents do not have reasonable expectations for children's behavior. Yet, the public school system seems to have completely forgotten what normal child development involves or requires. I'll give you some examples from working in the Florida public schools as recently as 2023 through 2025. First graders are expected to write research papers. They can barely write a sentence, yet the powers that be want them to go to the library, read books, collect information, and turn that into a research paper at age 6. Third graders are expected to learn how to solve algebraic equations with x on both sides of the equal sign at age 9. The Florida Civics Literacy exam asks incredibly specific, detailed questions about the Constitution, questions that many lawyers would have to research to find the answers to, and ancient Greek and Roman government, questions that almost no American adult could answer. Yet your child has to pass this test in order to graduate from a public high school or college in Florida with a current pass rate of about 37%. Chances are that your state has similar test requirements for graduation. So you see, your child may seem inattentive, impulsive, talkative, distracted, etc., not because of any internal disorder, but because the curriculum is not developmentally appropriate and only a few children, those at the very top, can access it meaningfully. If you need an example that you can relate to, imagine that you are a child from the United States of America and your language is English, but your parents moved with you to China. You have to go to school all day in China, and you don't speak, read, or write Chinese. Your instruction is all in Chinese. Your teachers and peers only speak Chinese. Your books and materials are all written in Chinese. Would you be able to pay attention and learn in that environment? How long do you think it will be before you appear distracted because you don't understand what is going on in school? In the interests of academic rigor and making money, politicians and educational publishers decided that the American public school curriculum was not challenging enough. The educational pendulum swung so far to the other extreme, and the curriculum is so difficult now that instead of leaving no child behind, almost no child can succeed. Not only that, but the pace of teaching has sped up rapidly, as if human brains process information as fast as computers do. Hint, they don't. Math teachers privately complain that they have one day to teach a concept, and then it's on to the next. Teachers know this is a problem, but they are pressured to cover the book and teach to the test. If your child cannot keep up with this frenetic pace, that's their problem, and something must be wrong with them. Students mentally check out of instruction that is too hard for them. They might misbehave or skip school. Avoidance is a normal response to stressful conditions, like you trying to go to school in Chinese. Then kids get diagnosed with a disorder like ADHD because the problem couldn't possibly be with what the adults are doing. The problem must be inherent to your child. And surely there must be a magic pill that can fix it. I grew up in the 1970s and 80s. ADHD was not a thing. Was there an occasional child who was a bully or who needed a lot of extra help? Of course, but we're talking like 1 in 20 or 1 in 30. Not today's supposed epidemic of 1 in 9 children having ADHD. You know what else was different back then? The curriculum was much more developmentally appropriate. In first grade, we were writing words in simple sentences, not research papers. In third grade, I was memorizing multiplication facts, not trying to solve algebraic equations with x on both sides of the equal sign. And you know what? I turned out just fine. I have 3 college degrees, including a law degree, all of which I earned on my own merit without cheating my way through school via ChatGPT, and I've been gainfully employed for most of the last 35 years. The adults in charge of public education today do not want to admit that they have destroyed the curriculum. Ironically, in the interest of leaving no child behind, and that very few children can keep up with the ever-increasing pace and level of difficulty they call academic rigor. They would rather turn the tables and make you think there's something wrong with your child. What better way to do this than to invent a disability that is diagnosed by subjective behavior checklists completed by parents and teachers? Young children are supposed to have short attention spans, be fidgety and impulsive, and move around. Children are put on brain-changing chemicals at ever younger ages, even in preschool. When 3-year-olds are put on medicine for inattention and impulsivity, you know something has gone horribly wrong with our society. Despite the research showing profound benefits of physical activity on brain development, do you know how much recess time my last elementary school gave the children? 20 minutes per day. Even kindergartners, who had to be in school all day doing academics, got only 20 minutes per day of recess. If a teacher took her class outside for more movement, because he or she knows kids need to get their wiggles out, that teacher would get in trouble because they need to be in their classrooms teaching to the tests, which come often and always. Middle and high schoolers still need to move and play, but they get zero recess. Their movement is walking from one class to another and an occasional gym class, which they may or may not like. And then we wonder why they have short attention spans and behavioral outbursts. And yet, even though children need to wiggle and run and climb and play to develop all sorts of skills that correlate to academic performance, American public schools are starving children, even very young children, of recess. When these children then move around in the classroom because their bodies literally demand it, we call them hyperactive and put them on drugs to slow their brains down. Not only have adults forgotten what is developmentally appropriate, normal, and necessary for children's healthy growth, there is a whole other situation in which different disorders could explain the symptoms misdiagnosed as ADHD or ADD. Is there a disorder that affects brain functioning with ADHD symptoms that has no other cause? This is possible, but many cases of so-called ADHD may be something else entirely. These disorders are hidden disabilities, and they are a silent epidemic. 1 in 4 children has such a condition that is completely treatable without medication, which means millions of children actually have something else entirely that may be misdiagnosed as ADHD. The problem is that Big Pharma can't invent a pill to treat them, and surgeons can't operate on them, so the medical community is not made aware of these conditions like they are made aware of ADHD. Yet these problems can usually be treated successfully without medicine or surgery. In fact, getting to the real root of your child's problems will do a lot more for their academics than any pill ever could. You see, pills aren't skills. There are certain skills that are the foundation for learning. Any disruption with the acquisition of these skills means your child will struggle to learn no matter what you try to do. People want to medicate the problem away for several reasons. First, although many teachers will privately admit that the pace and rigor of the curriculum today are unrealistic, they're powerless to change it. Persuading you to get your child medicated is easier than trying to change the curriculum in their state. Second, there's a mind-boggling lack of awareness about these hidden conditions. If no one tells you where to take your child for help, how would you know what to do? If your child has one of these other conditions and not ADHD, those pills won't help anyway. Perhaps this is why you think your child has ADHD, but nothing you've tried has worked. Maybe you keep going to the doctor to change the dosage or the type of medicine. You're frustrated because you want your child to succeed, but your well-intentioned efforts are doomed to fail. All of this is the wrong approach. The symptoms you or the school see may actually be signs of something else entirely that no pill can fix. However, please continue your child's treatment plan while you explore other possible issues. Once you figure out what's really going on with your child, be it a problem with the curriculum or a hidden disability that was never diagnosed correctly, then you'll be in a position to advocate for your child's educational needs. I hope this content has given you a better understanding of why ADHD may be a myth. As a thank you for watching this far, I'm making a special offer available to you. If you've attended special education meetings, you're familiar with that 40-page book that you probably never read and that you could wallpaper your house with, called Procedural Safeguards. These are your rights as a parent of a child with special needs. I've created a one-page guide that summarizes your procedural safeguards in language that is easy to understand. All you need to do is go to parentsplaybook.org and request your free guide. Trying to advocate for your child when the system seems stacked against you is enormously frustrating, especially when everyone else in the room has more knowledge about the system than you do. Every child deserves an education that works. That's why I'm committed to giving you the knowledge and tools to help you make meaningful progress. Your child's future depends on you. Every day that you do nothing is another wasted day of education your child cannot get back. If you're serious about doing whatever it takes to unlock your child's potential, my online masterclass, The Parents Playbook for Special Education Success, will teach you how to find out if your child truly has ADHD or something else. The playbook also teaches you how to advocate for your child like a professional. You'll even learn how to take your school district to a due process hearing without a lawyer, step by step, from start to finish. Here's a dirty little secret. I've met parents who've spent between $40,000 and $100,000 on legal fees for due process hearings and lost their cases anyway. Having a lawyer does not guarantee a victory, but it does guarantee you'll be substantially poorer at the end of the case. You don't need a lawyer to take your school system to a due process hearing, but you do need to learn how to do it correctly. Transform your frustration into confidence with the Parents Playbook for Special Education Success. The link is in the description below. If you'd like to support my work, kindly consider buying me a coffee. Every penny is truly appreciated and allows me to continue with my mission to help as many parents as possible through this channel. The link is also in the description below. Please like, subscribe, and share this video with other parents who want to help their children. Leave a comment and tell me what special education questions you have so I can make future content to answer them. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.